Hello everybody, my name is Big Water Survivor and today I am going to be showing you how to set up my brand new mod, CZ Underground Basements 2.0. This is a direct replacement to the original CZ Underground bases, and unfortunately changing over will require deletion of the old mod. There is no way to update the old mod to this one. But I promise it will be worth it, and by the end of this video I hope that you will be skilled enough to set this up in such a way that you can give your players the very best experience on your server and they will thoroughly enjoy this mod. If you haven't already and you have subscribed to the mod, please go back to the workshop page and click this thumbs up button. This is very helpful to spread the word to like-minded server owners, and hopefully more and more players can enjoy this mod, and it really does help me out. Let's get started. As you can see here, there is a subscribe button. I've already subscribed to the mod. If you haven't already, please do. Now, I'm not going to run through exactly how to do the very basic setup of the mod, how to drag the file in and the keys and whatnot. If you are unsure about that, Scale Speeder has an excellent video right here on a lot of different mods and how to set them up. The very start is exactly the same for every mod, so please follow one of those tutorials. I'll go ahead and leave the link in the description for you. The next step in setting up the mod is to go ahead and start your server and launch the game. Before actually configuring the mod, we need to enter the game for at least 30 to 40 seconds. My server's just starting now. And here's DayZ. DayZ has now started, and as you can see, I do have a basement door, and you should as well. The basement door location is spawned on every server boot based on the location in the configuration file. You can also spawn in the basement door using the DayZ editor if you wish. Let's move on to the actual configuration of the mod so that we can get that one working. To access your mod's configuration files, we need to locate the profiles or the config file. This is something that Scale Speeder covers in a lot of his videos, and like I said below, I'm going to leave a link in the description to his channel. He is very, very helpful, and we all love Scale Speeder, so you can reach out on his videos, and that should be able to assist you. My server is installed locally, so I would go to my Steam file, I would go to my Steam apps, and then common, and then DayZ server. In your case, you may log into Nitrado or log into Host Havoc or whichever server that you're using, and you may need to access the config or profiles folder through there. In my case, as you can see here, I've got the profiles folder, and this is where we have all of the profiles. There's a newly created folder in here called DayZ Mods. As you can see, this was only created a couple of minutes ago. Inside DayZ Mods, we have all of the mods that we have installed from me. Okay, so we've got CZ Underground Bases 2.0, which for this video, that's what we want to focus on. And we've got a couple of options here. I'm going to run down through them from top to bottom. As you can see here, we've got player databases, and this is player data, and you've got your Steam ID at the end here, which is very helpful for the next stage. If you open this up, there's not a whole lot in here. This file should not be edited by the admin directly. It is just storing the last entry position from where the person actually entered the basement. Take a copy of your Steam ID from here, however, and we're going to come back and navigate to the admins.json file. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting, and this file goes ahead and actually tells the mod who is an admin and who can delete bases on demand without actually being the owner of that basement. You can see that there is functionality to add more than one basement. Now, I must mention that the JSON must be formatted correctly for this to work. I'm going to cover off a few things here and how to extend this or to move it to just one record. As you can see here, we've got a list of admins within the square brackets here. And then they've got a set of semicolons for each record, 1 and 2. If it is not the last record, there is a comma, which says there is another record below this. We have a name parameter, and we have a Steam ID parameter. The name parameter is not used by the mod at all. This is purely just to become easy to read so you know exactly who this is. If we wanted to have only one admin, we would remove the comma and the next record and change the details within the double quotations here. If we wanted to have 3 admins, we would need to take the comma and the next record and paste it here. So we have 1 record, comma, 2 records, comma, final record, no comma. In this case, we are only going to add 1 admin. I'll give it a name. This is going to be me. And the Steam ID is exactly what we copied from the other file. This configuration is now complete. The next file is the basement settings.json. This one might look a little bit daunting, but I'm going to step you through it step by step, and I'm going to make it as easy as possible to understand. As you can see here, we have a basement center area position. I strongly suggest that unless you're sure what you're doing, you don't actually change this file. Now, what happens here is this is actually where the basement is spawned. There is no need to change it, it's perfectly acceptable, but if this does go out of the bounds of the game and the figure is changed incorrectly, it may break the mod entirely. The next record here is basement center area radius. This is pretty much giving it a 5 kilometer, so 5,000 meters of space in which it can spawn basements. You can increase this if you're running out of space and the mod is failing to produce more basements. However, it's important to note that 5,000 is quite a lot and you should not have any problems with it. Basement cleanup after inactive days. This record tells the mod that it should delete any basement that has not been used or entered by any player whatsoever in this many days. In this case, if I do not log into the server for 21 days, the basement will be deleted. If the player that has their deleted basement logged out within their basement and they get stuck, the mod will notice when they log in next time and they will be transported to safety without dying automatically. The small basement key class name currently, by default, is set to tier 1 basement key. This is an object that exists within the mod and you can use these keycards. If you wish, you can go ahead and use your own keycards by putting the class names here. However, generally, there's no need to change both of these. Key required each time 0. Now this is what we call a boolean. It's either on or it's off. 0 is off and 1 is on. No other value will work. It is either 0 or it's 1. And what it means is that each time you want to enter the basement, do you require the keycard to be in your hand? Or can you go ahead and walk up to the basement and enter right away regardless if you've got it or not? Let's turn this off. Let's keep this off, so that would be 0. Damage key on use. Now this is actually what tells the mod to go ahead and actually degrade the state of the keycard for each time it's used. So we could say that we want a 33% or 34% reduction in the health of the keycard for each use, which would allow 3 uses, which is 34, 68, and 100. Let's turn this on. That would be a 1. Damage percent on use is exactly what I spoke about, the amount of percent. So we are going to allow 3 uses, which is 34. Okay, now I know that it sounds like 33 is technically a third. However, you have to remember that it would go 33, 66, and 99. It would never hit 100 until it's been used a 4th time. So 33 would be the same as doing 25. So that's why I've set it to 34. It doesn't matter if it goes over 100 eventually. Ruined is ruined. player loses key on use. At the moment, let's keep this as 0. This pretty much tells the mod that every time the player uses a key, it should be deleted from their hand and taken away. We cannot use this option alongside damage key on use. They conflict with each other. We've got damage key on use on. We cannot have player loses key on use on. Key required to manage basement. This is very simple. It just tells the mod whether they are going to need a key in their hand to change the name of their basement, change the pin of their basement, or delete the pin of their basement. However, it does not include admin deletions. Admins can delete basements at any time using the admin menu. That wraps up the basement settings. I didn't actually save the file there, so let me go ahead and fix this one. The final file here is doorlocations.json. This file is very, very similar to the admin's file, in which it is a list of locations that we want to have the doors at. Now, as you can see here, we have a position and we have an orientation. It's very important that these positions and orientations are laid out correctly. You can see that we've got the number followed by a decimal, followed by a number of subdecimals, if you will. We've got the X position, the Y position, and the Z position. We've got the same for the orientation. You can see here that the class name is basement door. Please do not change this, it will break the mod. What we need to do here is, if we want to add a new location, is take from the curly bracket to the other curly bracket, but within the 2 square brackets here. We need to copy this and put a comma to say that we are adding another record. We can then go ahead and change the position wherever we need to. We can change the orientation in all 3 axes. For now, we are just going to go ahead and use one position. I strongly suggest, before saving your configuration, that you take the JSON scripting and you use a JSON validator much like this, JSON lint validator, which is available free online. Paste the contents in and press validate. It will let you know if it is valid, and if there is an error, it will tell you where it is. Although it's not perfect at picking up every error, it is very, very strong at picking up most of them. Now that we know our JSON is valid, we can close this file. The next step is to reboot the server. Okay, the server is rebooted and we are in the game. As you can see, the default basement door location is there. If you've selected more than one basement door locations, you should be able to find them at your own location. Now, there is a few options, or items rather, that you can see here. We've got tier 1 basement key and tier 2 basement key. These are options that I've created the models for and added them to the game so that you can interact with these doors. As you can see here, I can enter the basement without a key card because that option was left disabled in the config. If I take a small key card, I'm going to get some more options. I'm going to get unlock basement, and I can scroll down to see the enter basement action, and that's all that I've got. If I select the enter basement option, you can see there are no basements available to enter. Let's unlock a basement, and it will ask us to set up a small basement. Let's give it a name. Small test, and we give it a PIN code that we will use to enter the basement. We unlock the basement, and all of a sudden the action changes from unlock basement. We've only got the enter basement and the manage basement option. If we press the enter basement, you can see our tests here. We left click on the small test icon and we enter our passcode. We'll do that in a moment. There's a new option here called manage basement. We can go ahead and select this, and we can change this to another name. There's our basement has been renamed, and you can see here the naming has taken effect here. The exact same is available for changing the passcode of the basement, which now is going to be 1224. And we've got delete basement, which we're not going to actually delete the basement for now because we still want to use it. We can enter the basement by clicking enter, selecting the passcode, and entering the passcode. If we get the passcode incorrect, we will be locked out for 5 seconds. This stops brute forcing of basements so that we can go ahead and all have a good time here. If we enter the correct passcode and we select the basement, we will be transported inside of the basement. Both basements have lights on the roof, and you can see in the darkness. Let's go and place an object inside the basement. Let's get a barrel. We're going to take a green barrel. Over on this side, we're going to take a gun. And over here, we will put a packet of chips. We now have 3 items stored securely inside of our basement. These items will be kept safe for us unless we do not enter the basement within the inactivity period listed in the config. To exit the basement, there is a keybind. If we go to the controls settings, you can see a new menu called DayZ Mods, and here there is an exit basement keybind which is currently insert. Once we do this, we are transported safely back to exactly where we entered the basement. As you can see, enter basement and manage basement are the only options available. This is because I have a small basement keycard. If you're in my position and you own a small basement and you manage to obtain a large basement keycard, you will see a third option called upgrade basement. This allows you to go ahead and use the basement upgrade feature, which means that you can change from a small basement to a large basement. If we now enter our basement, the code and the name is exactly the same. You can see that we actually enter our new large basement. Now, we did have some items in that basement. You can remember they've all been transported to the entrance of the basement for us to relocate. In the admin menu, if your Steam ID is listed on the admin menu, you can use the keybind, registered again under the controls section. The keybind is right control by default. We press this and we've got a listing of all basements within the server. We can delete the basement here. Now please note that the delete button does not have a confirmation for admins. Once we press delete, the basement is gone. It's important for me to mention that there is a known issue at the time of making this video where you cannot place items normally within the large basement at most locations. As you can see, there is some limited success here. And you can do that, especially if you actually go ahead and make the changes to the CFG gameplay as seen in the mod description. However, a lot of places around the basement, it's not actually going to let you place the barrel. So you can have a look and see where you can place it. And go ahead and place things down. If you do want to place it somewhere, you can go ahead and drop the item. If it's somewhere that it's not allowed, you may just find that it does sink into the ground a little bit. Again, this is under investigation, but the item is completely usable. Let's place the barrel down. And we can go ahead and press the keybind to exit the basement. Now I am going to simulate what happens to a player when an admin deletes their basement or their inactivity expires and they log into the game. We'll go ahead and enter our basement again. and we will delete our basement. We've now deleted our basement, and we may find that the game doesn't really respond that well. The game doesn't like big objects like this being deleted right around the player, so we actually do need to log out and log back in, which is going to be the natural reaction for players. Now, once we reconnect to the server, what we're going to notice is that we are going to spawn back here. And the reason for that is that whilst we were logged out, the game was actually noticing and helping us to make sure that we didn't get injured falling from the sky, and it's put us right back at the entry location of the basement. And thank you everyone, that wraps up the video for today. As you can see, the Discord link is below. Please remember to donate on Ko-fi if you do like my my mods. I really do appreciate any support that I get. These things do take a lot of effort to make, and please remember to hit that thumbs up button once again on the mod, and help us grow this thing and really give people the best experience playing DayZ and bring this game back to life even more than it already is. Thank you for watching everyone. I hope you found this video helpful, and I look forward to doing more like it in the future. Thanks, and see you next time.